Good morning, my Real News Midday TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning for another news update for Thursday, November 20, 2025. And I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning, alleged cop killer among three cut down on Mandela Highway. An operation targeting a suspected cop killer ended in the fatal shooting of 3 men during what investigators describe as an armed daylight confrontation along the westbound lane of the Nelson Mandela Highway in the corporate area on Wednesday. The news understands that the target of the attack was a man known as Simgal, who was wanted in connection with the shooting death of Corporal Christopher Smith on December 6, 2024 at a Texaco gas station in St. Andrew. According to the police, members of the counterterrorism and the organized crime division intercepted a black Honda Fit traveling in the direction of Spanish Town shortly before midday. The police reported that the occupants opened the fire, triggering a shootout that left Simgal and the 2 other men fatally wounded. There were no reports of injury to any member of the police team. Investigators are also probing whether the same Honda Fit was used in a robbery in Portmore, St. Catherine on Tuesday night, and they say early intelligence had linked the vehicle to a series of criminal activities carried out in St. Catherine and the corporate area. Detectives believe the men were part of a wider network responsible for robberies and shootings. The police say while others have been arrested in the murder of the cop, Simgal has long been wanted as a suspected triggerman in the corporal's murder. The news gathered that the other deceased men are from the Lincoln Avenue area. Yesterday's incident caused bumper-to-bumper traffic lasting for several hours as the scene was processed. The Independent Commission of Investigations is probing the fatal shooting. A total of 8 men have been killed in alleged confrontations with the police in the last 4 days. On Saturday, about 4 a.m., a man was fatally shot in Mount Sailor, St. Andrew, and an AK-47 rifle reportedly taken from him. Also on Saturday, about 9:45 p.m., 2 men were shot and killed in Golden Spring, St. Andrew, in an area called Duppy Gully. The police say they recovered 2 illegal firearms in that operation. Another man was shot and killed on Saturday night in the Standard Pipe area of Barbican, St. Andrew. The police say a firearm was also seized then. Over in St. Catherine, a reported chase and alleged shootout led to the death of a resident of Gregory Park on Monday evening. Yesterday's 3 fatalities bring the total to 272 civilians killed by the police since the start of the year. Maitland's call patterns are scrutinized in court as the digital evidence unfolds. A senior crime fighter with a background in technology on Wednesday mapped out a series of communications allegedly made by murder-accused Noel Maitland on the day social media personality Donnelly Donaldson went missing and the immediate days following. The Deputy Superintendent of Police assigned to the Communication Forensics and the Cybercrime Division of the Jamaica Constabulary Force spent most of his testimony responding to questions from the prosecution, forming the centerpiece of his testimony in the 8-month-old murder trial now before a 7-member jury. Yesterday, the witness first illustrated to the court that the devices in question and the telephone numbers were attributed to the individuals using a software to check the IMEI. The senior cop then testified that the telecommunications data showed multiple instances in which a number attributed to Maitland contacted a number attributed to Donaldson, detailing timestamps and the call patterns that prosecutors say are critical to establishing a timeline before and after the 24-year-old disappeared on July 12, 2022. The jury pool, comprising 4 men and 3 women, listened and in some cases were seen making notes as the prosecution continued building its digital forensics case. The court was told that on July 12, 2022, at 7:11 p.m., 1 call was made from the number attributed to Maitland to the number attributed to Donaldson. The senior officer, who appeared comfortable on the stand, said 22 other communications were attributed to the mobile number of Midland on the same day. The last communication from Donaldson's number was on July 12, 2022 at 2:54 p.m. The prosecution quizzed further about a communication from the accused to Donaldson on July 13, 2022. The court heard that the number attributed to the accused contacted Donaldson's phone twice on July 13 within the same minute at 11:36 a.m. No calls were transmitted between the numbers attributed to Maitland and Donaldson on July 13. However, the prosecution wanted to know how busy the accused man was communicating to others. The court heard that, generally speaking, a total of 63 communications came from the number associated to the accused. On July 14, the number attributed to Maitland made 21 communications, and again on July 15, some 52 calls were communicated, according to the senior cop. The court heard that some of the calls were made between Maitland and Donaldson's mother, his baby mother, and the truck driver. A PowerPoint presentation of cell sites that logged the communication on the devices tendered into evidence was also showcased on Tuesday in court using Google Earth. The witness outlined that Maitland's phone was on the Flow network, while Donaldson was a subscriber of Digicel. Maitland, dapperly dressed in a tailored gray suit, sat quietly through most of the testimony, but at intervals he leaned in towards his attorney, engaging in hushed discussions as the expert outlined how investigators retrieved and verified the call data. The attorney frequently approached the accused during key portions of the testimony, especially when the prosecution emphasized the frequency of the calls and their proximity to the period of Donaldson's disappearance. Donaldson was reported missing in July 2022, igniting a nationwide outcry and intense scrutiny of the police investigation. Maitland, her boyfriend at the time and a member of the JCF, was later arrested and charged with her murder and the unlawful burial of a corpse. He has maintained his innocence. The trial underway in the Home Circuit Court Division of the Supreme Court has seen a steady stream of forensic analysts and law enforcement witnesses as both sides challenge the reliability and the interpretation of the digital evidence. The defense has started to cross-examine the tech expert even as the prosecution moves closer to closing its case, while indicating that 4 more witnesses are expected to take the stand before their evidence is completed. The trial will continue today. Call for warning signs about rising water in Content, Manchester. There is now a call for signs to be erected to warn motorists traveling through Williamsfield, Manchester, about the groundwater that is rising in a section of Content. The water began rising in Content 2 days after the passage of Hurricane Melissa and is now in both the sides of the Kendall Main Road, which is in the vicinity of Kirkvine. Groundwater is also rising in Comfort Hall near Mile Gully. Barriers have been placed at both entrances to the Content Main Road to prevent curious onlookers from entering the water, which has covered houses and businesses. But David Knight, counsel for the Walterston Division, which borders Kendall, says the barriers are not enough. He believes that the absence of signage could prove dangerous for unsuspecting motorists, especially at night.
Right where I'm standing, there is some barriers that is saying that we cannot cross this barrier because there is a rising water ahead in Content, and because of that it also start to rise beside me here in Kirkvine. And so I believe that we need some proper signage, as to say detour, where persons would know where to go. This is the only thing to say danger. We need proper signage. Persons are coming out of town and they know that this is the route that takes them from point A into Kingston, and now it is blocked, but there is no way or nothing to say you can travel through Kendall, through Hanbury and go down to Williamsfield.
A taxi operator who did not want to be identified said that the flooding has become a major inconvenience for motorists, resulting in extended travel time as the alternative route is more than an hour longer.
Because if you're going to leave from Spalding, for example, to head to Williamsfield, normally you just go through Content and you reach Williamsfield at no time. Now you have to go through all the way through Kendall, and trust me, the traffic is hectic. Every vehicle now divert to Kendall, so you know how the traffic is. You suffer, choke, all the long trailer them buck you up there with the little car. You can't hardly pass sometimes, so you know it's really, really hectic. Trust me, it's serious.
How much longer is the alternative route?
Well, that's around 10 minutes from Penfat here, so right? 10 to 5 minutes to go out here, so no. They take you an hour and a half to go around, maybe 2 hours too. Because you have to go all the way around the circle.
Guys, thanks for watching. Please join us this afternoon at 2 p.m. for another news update.